First, let's pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Mang Liao Ming. Homage to Master Sakya Tsongkhapa. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Thubten Dorje. Homage to the main deity of the ceremony today. Amitabha Buddha of the Western Paradise. Homage to Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. And homage to Mahastama Prapta Bodhisattva. And to all the deities and sages that descended upon the ceremony. And we'd like to pay homage to Atisha Dipamkara. Homage to Guru Tsongkhapa. Semu, Tutan Siti Rinpoche, and Tanchen Gyatso Rinpoche, all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, all disciples present here and over the internet, and all participating distinguished guests. Good afternoon, everyone. How do you do? Today is the Bardo deliverance ceremony of Amitabha Buddha. And Amitabha Buddha, Kuan Yin Bodhisattva, for Mahastama Prapta Bodhisattva, the last one. We pray that all the Bardo spirits all rise to the Western paradise from of the utmost bliss and be reborn as the 9 levels of lotuses. During this ceremony, I had the vision of Atisha Dipamkara and the Je Tsongkhapa. They all descended upon our ceremony. A few days ago, I had mutual touch with Guru Tsongkhapa. As you all remember, many years ago, there was the 100th spiritual leader of Gelugpa, Gandan Tripa, visited our True Buddha Seattle temple. gave to Grandmaster a dragon robe that he had worn, and an empowerment vase, a Vajra bell and Vajra scepter, and a damaru, a hand drum. So the 100th Kandan Tripa, and Kandan Tripa represented Guru Tsongkhapa. There were 3 people who had 3 yellow parasols as they left, and someone guided and followed, and there were only 3 people in Gelugpa that would have parasols over them. One is Dalai Lama, second is Panchen Lama, and third is Kandan Tripa. And Kandan Tripa represents Tsongkhapa, and the 100th reincarnation of Kandan Tripa gave to Grandmaster, bestowed to Grandmaster a dragon robe and Vajra scepter, Vajra bell, damaru, and dragon crown, Dharma crown. And this dragon robe I have bestowed to Master Lianning. Where is he? So the dragon robe of the 100th Kandan Tripa is now with Master Lianning. So now we would like to welcome Master Lianning to come back here. So this is a very rare event, and today we will transmit the Buddha Dharma of Tsongkhapa. So Kandan Tripa is the spiritual leader of Gelugpa. So every time he goes out, there would be led by a retinue, and with sandalwood and also with parasol over his head. And there are only 3 people, the Dalai Lama, Panchen Lama, and Kandan Tripa, with such privilege. So Kandan Tripa holds the position of the spiritual leader of Gelugpa. So with Atisha, Dipamkara, and Tsongkhapa, I would like to reveal the first secret. Nobody ever mentioned it before. Atisha Dipamkara, the precious Atisha, was a treasure, the national treasure of India. And he went to Tibet to propagate Buddha Dharma. And we can say that he was the father of a Tantric Buddhism, a later Tantric Buddhism. And Atisha was the white Padma Kumara. Tsongkhapa left his homeland to go to Tibet. And he was at the monastery, made offering, and then went to met Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva at the peak of the mountain, and he saw the green lotus, and he took the green lotus with his hand, and Avalokitesvara told him that you are the green lotus. He was at the Jukang monastery. And let me tell you a secret, that Atasya Dipamkara founded the Kadampa. And Guru Tsongkhapa founded Gelugpa, and Grandmaster Lu founded True Buddha School. So Padma Kumaras are all founders and pioneers. So this is the first secret. Avalokitesvara told Tsongkhapa that you are the green Padma Kumara, or green lotus youth. If you pay attention to his hagiography or history about how Tsongkhapa descended upon samsara, there was this piece, please pay attention. That's the first secret. So Atisya Dipamkara was a Padma Kumara. Atisya Dipamkara went to the realm of Sakyamuni Buddha in the Pure Land. There are many Dharma thrones, and Sakyamuni Buddha was seated at the center, and around him were the great arhats, and there was an empty seat. And Atisya thought that the seat or the Dharma throne was for him, so he climbed onto the Dharma throne. He climbed and climbed onto the throne. And eventually he was seated on it, and the Buddha said, "Wrong. Who is this seated on the Dharma throne?" And there was a great arhat nearby that said this was Atisya Dipamkara. And the Buddha said, this Padma Kumara, see, the Buddha referred to him as the lotus youth or Padma Kumara, asked this lotus youth to get down from the Dharma throne. And when Atisya heard it, he was trembling. Why was he asked to come down from the throne? But you have not had the mind of renunciation. You have not been ordained. How dare do you sit on this Dharma throne? And he slowly climbed down and returned to the Sahawa. And then he went to the first, the highest level of the division. The Buddhism was divided into 5 divisions after Buddha's parinirvana. So, have you practiced the secret practices or the tantric practices? And no, then you have to go to the middle division to become ordained. So if you're not ordained, you cannot be seated on the Dharma throne of the Sangha, ordained people. There's a rule about this, like our ex, the witch, she does not abide by the precepts. With her hair, she was seated on the Dharma throne and she was surrounded by the ordained monks and nuns. And that was quite an embarrassment that she did not abide by the Buddha's precepts. That you can only be seated on the Dharma throne after being ordained. Without the mind of renunciation, you can never be seated on the Dharma throne. It's very simple. In her writing, she claimed that Sakyamuni Buddha held her hand. That's nonsense. Because what Sakyamuni Buddha, a taboo for Sakyamuni Buddha was that those without ordination could not even be seated on the Dharma throne. How could Sakyamuni Buddha hold your hand? If Sakyamuni Buddha did hold her hand, then we would sue Sakyamuni Buddha for harassment. And that would be severe nowadays. So Atisha Dipamkara was an exemplar, was a good example. And immediately Atisha became ordained. And today, Guru Tsongkhapa instructed me for 3 things, 3 important things. First is the mind of renunciation. You should not have any desire about the mundane world. You want to renunciate the mundane in order to cultivate spiritually. And you want to become a Dharma king, or you want to become a Vajra master or Vajra acharya, then you have to be ordained. That's what Guru Tsongkhapa instructed me. And second, you want to, in order to cultivate spiritually, you have to generate bodhicitta. So the Selingpa, at that time, the whole Indonesia was called Sriwijaya. The literal meaning is the golden state or golden continent. And Selingpa meant the great master of the Sriwijaya kingdom. He was in Jambi. When I visited Jambi, there was thunders, rains, and windstorms. And Atisha Dipamkara came to meet me. So Atisha Dipamkara, Guru Tsongkhapa, and Grandmaster Lu are all Padma Kumara. So this is the first secret, that I'm exposing today. When Atisha Dipamkara went to Guru Sarlingpa to study bodhicitta, primarily to study bodhicitta. And Guru Tsongkhapa also put great importance on bodhicitta and then the correct view of the middle way. Madhyamaka. Gelu in the mantra Om Pancha Tsongkhapa Gelu Soha. Gelu means Gelupa. The second secret, when Guru Tsongkhapa was alive, he highly admired Atisha Dipamkara and followed the lineage of Kadampa and studied many of Atisha's, which is the Bodhisattva Pratipa. And Tsongkhapa's Ngakrim Chenmo, or the great treatise of the development stages of Tantrayana, is based on the Atisha So he had the lineage of Kadampa. Atisha founded Kadampa. So the first temple that he built is to memorize Atisha. That was the Ganden monastery. Actually, it meant Kadam. So Atisha transmitted the Bodhisattva Pradipa to Tsongkhapa. So, and then Tsongkhapa wrote the Ngaklim Chenmo. Oh, no, the Lamrim Chenmo. And when Tsongkhapa was alive, there were three gurus, the three key gurus, which he regarded as his yidams or lineage root gurus. As his lineage root gurus. And he paid homage to 14 gurus, or even more, 32 gurus. So the one that he had connection with 32 gurus, and he studied both Mahayana and Tantrayana Buddhism. And Grandmaster's guru, altogether 27 of them. So he paid homage to 32 gurus, and his knowledge was truly expansive, very broad, very knowledgeable, and most importantly is about Madhyamaka. It would be wrong if you think that Tsongkhapa only studied Madhyamaka. He actually studied the 5 treatises of the Madhyamaka, the 5 treatises, and many more. And all the compendiums of the earlier patriarchs and gurus. So he was truly well-versed and knowledgeable. And his first guru was Tsongkhapa Rinchen, and who took care of him ever since he was very young and taught him Tantric Dharma and bestowed empowerments of Kalachakra, Yamantaka, Guhyasamaya, Chakrasamvara, and later on he also mastered Hevaja. So he had mastered all the Heruka practices. That was the first guru, Tsongkhapa Rinchen Rinpoche, taught him Tantric Dharma and also raised him until he was 16 or 17, and then sent him off to Tibet, to Yutang, to Lhasa. And when Tsongkhapa was in Tibet, he traveled throughout Tibet, the front and back Tibet, all over the place. Whenever he encountered the knowledgeable spiritual guides, he would study from them. So he had studied Tantric Dharma and put them into practice. And this guru was Rantawa, Chonulodro Rantawa, from the Sakya school. So the key guru, the second key guru of Tsongkhapa was Rantawa, who taught him Madhyamaka and the science of logic or valid cognition. And he had a lot of questions about Madhyamaka and Yogacara. And finally, he met Lama Umapa. And this person could communicate with Manjushri Bodhisattva. And any questions that he had, he would ask this Lama Uwapa to pass it on to Manjushri Bodhisattva and to get the direct answers to resolve all Tsongkhapa's questions. So eventually Tsongkhapa could complete the third, which is the correct view of Madhyamaka. So in the Gelugpa, they give the highest importance on the renunciation, second, bodhicitta, third, the Madhyamaka, the correct view of the middle way. This is what Tsongkhapa told me. They also put great importance on precepts or moral ethics. On the night of September 6, 2018, Tsongkhapa appeared in my library, in my office, and he looks perfect, and his figure is beautiful, and he radiated colorful, radiant light and hold the green lotus. His hand was holding a green lotus. I asked him, "Who is this?" And Tsongkhapa answered, "Oh, the Tathagata who with the lion's roar." And then he demonstrated the appearance of a Tathagata. When Tsongkhapa attained Buddhahood, the epithet was the Tathagata with the lion's roar. This is the second secret. Anyone knew that he was the Tathagata with the lion's roar, that was his epithet when he attained Buddhahood? If you have heard about it before, please raise your hand, don't be shy. You did not know. So, he's the Tathagata with the lion's roar. This is also his secret. I asked him, where did it come from? You came from the Tathagata with lion's roar. Where did you come from? I am in Tushita heaven, the court of Maitreya. And he smiled. The Dharmakaya, the Dharma body, is countless. I am his emanation. So Grandmaster Lu is an emanation of Tsongkhapa. And I said, I kind of knew that you were Tsongkhapa. And I said, I've been wanting to look for you. And Tsongkhapa said, well, I came here on my own. You don't have to search for me. Can you please tell your origin from the past? And Tsongkhapa answered, I was the Nirmanakaya, or the physical emanation of Manjushri Bodhisattva. And this let me think of, the Shambhala kingdom, Shambhala Pure Land. The first king was Manjushri Bodhisattva, and the second king was the White Lotus King. So the White Lotus King was the second king of the Shambhala kingdom. So Tsongkhapa was also a Padma Kumara. So what he did was what all Buddhas do. At the major Jokang and minor Jokang monasteries, I received a hint from Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva that to hold the green lotus, so I'm the green Padma Kumara. And I answered, so we came from the same root. And for his spiritual cultivation, from 3 to 16, he followed Tontuk Rinchen Rinpoche to study Tantrayana and to practice. The empowerments were Manjushri and Saraswati, and then later Yamantaka, Chakrasamvara, Hevajra, Vajrapani Bodhisattva. And at this time, Tsongkhapa said, Atisha Dipamkara appeared again and again and instructed that in the future I will propagate the Dharma of Kadampa. And the first temple that he built was Kadam, or now called the Kantan Monastery or Temple. And Tsongkhapa said, I am a pure monk to to propagate the holy, sacred Dharma, and he mastered the Nagarjuna's Madhyamaka and Aryadeva Chandrakirti Dharmakirti's Madhyamaka and Yogachara of Maitreya, Asanga and Vasubandhu, and also the valid cognition and many other gurus, and all he had studied and learned all the compendium and treatises. Like there were many treatises that he had studied, like from Maitreya Bodhisattva, the ornament of clear realization of Maitreya, and also the Dwadasa Nikaya Sastra, Mula Madhyamaka Karika, and from Chandrakirti's Madhyamaka Vatara, and then Pramana Samukaya of Dignaga, Pramana Vartika Karika of Dharmakirti, and Chatusataka of Aryadeva. And his most important lineage root guru was Rantawa, is the guru that he highly revered. And Tsongkhapa said, studying Nagarjuna and Aryadeva of Mahayana Buddhism, and Asanga and Vasubandhu, Dignaga and Dharmakirti, and also the 5 Herukas of Tantrayana, and Yamantaka to stop many of his calamities. And Tsongkhapa encountered many calamities, especially the life-threatening calamities. And he utilized Yamantaka to counter the life-threatening calamities. Think about it. Grandmaster's protector is Yamantaka, the same as Tsongkhapa's. Writings of Tsongkhapa was the Lamrim Chenmo and Ngakrim Chenmo, which is the great treatise of the stages of the path to enlightenment and the tantric path to enlightenment. Those were the most important ones, and there are many, many more. Remember when I was expounding the Ngakrim Chenmo, remember who appeared to bless Grandmaster? That was Tsongkhapa. So when Tsongkhapa studied the Dharma of Kadampa, Atisha Dipamkara also appeared and blessed Tsongkhapa. When I was expounding the Ngakrim Chenmo, the development stages of Tantrayana, Manjushri Bodhisattva and Tsongkhapa both appeared to bless Grandmaster. This was absolutely accurate and truthful. And Tsongkhapa said, all questions that he had was corrected and instructed by Lama Uwama and Manjushri Bodhisattva. So Lama Uwapa was also one of his key lineage root gurus. So altogether he had 3 lineage gurus, Don Drupten Chin, Dharma King, Jechun Rentawa, and Lama Uapa. And Tsongkhapa said, through the perfect study and practice of Mahayana and Tantrayana, he founded, established Gelugpa. And Gelug meant precepts. And finally, he could personally met Manjushri Bodhisattva and the Buddhas of the 3 times and all the deities and attain the highest fruition from spiritual cultivation. And he put great importance on renunciation, bodhicitta, and the correct view of the middle way, madhyamaka, and precepts. Lastly, I asked Tsongkhapa, what is it that you like to tell us most? And Tsongkhapa replied, abide by the precepts and be diligent in your spiritual cultivation. So Tsongkhapa wants true Buddha disciples to abide by the precepts and be diligent. So that's just a brief explanation. Atisha Dipamkara, Guru Tse Tsongkhapa, and Grandmaster Lu are in union. We are, the 3 of us are Padma Kumara. Inseparable, no difference. This is the greatest secret. And the Buddhahood that he attained was the Tathagata with the lion's roar. And he did not use karma mudra, although he understood it. So he attained Buddhahood in Bardo, and the epithet was Tathagata with the lion's roar. He's truly precious. So I have written the deity yoga of Tsongkhapa. As you can see, behind me is the appearance of Tsongkhapa, the mantra. So long mantra or short mantra. So both mantras are okay. And the mudra is the mudra of turning the Dharma wheel. Let me show you. So the right hand is facing outward and the left hand is facing inward. This is the mudra of turning the Dharma wheel. And Atisha Dipamkara was in Tibet. And the a kingdom invited him to go to Tibet. And Tsongkhapa turned the Dharma wheel in Tibet. And Grandmaster Lu is also turning the Dharma wheel. Although with the Padmakumara mudra, one is the Dharma teaching mudra and the other one is holding lotus mudra. And this is actually also the mudra for turning the Dharma wheel. So the right hand is facing outward and the left hand is facing inward. So now you feel that Tsongkhapa is extremely important, right? So let me tell you, he studied Kalachakra, Guyasamaya, Havajra, Yamantaka, Mahotara, Chakra Samvara. He had mastered all of them, all the Anuttara Yoga, Tantra, and he also was in retreat. For a Buddha Dharma to stay eternally, for a great Dharma king to stay eternally, you need the great disciples to support him. His first disciple that he transmit his Dharma position and robe and crown to Gyalgyapje, Dharma Rinchen, and then his own heart son, the most important heart son, was Kadrupje. And who was Kadrupje? That was the later Panchen Lama. So the Panchen Lama came from Kadrupje, and Gyalgyapje became Kandan Tripa, the spiritual leader. And the one who abided by the precepts the best is Chapa Chentan, the most pure monk, Chapa Chentan. And then there was one more, Sakya Yeshe. So Tsongkhapa sent him to meet the Emperor Yongle from the Ming dynasty, and then give him a Dharma king title. The great precious Dharma king had been given to someone, and the great sacred Dharma king and the greatly compassionate Dharma king. So Sakya Yese represented Tsongkhapa to went to Emperor Yongle of the Ming dynasty and bestowed to Sakya Yese a Dharma king title, Da Ci, or the greatly compassionate Dharma king. And there were other names, the great precious Dharma king, and then the great sacred Dharma king. The emperor gave 3 Dharma kings titles. So Sakya Yese was born in the Kansu, living Buddha, and Grandmaster Lu had the lineage of this Kansu living Buddha. So Zhangjia Rinpoche in Chinese is called Kansu living Buddha, was a reincarnation of Sakya Yese. So Sakya Yese and Panchen was the reincarnation of also a disciple of Tsongkhapa. But the last one who took refuge in Tsongkhapa was Gandun Drup, who later reincarnated to become Dalai Lamas. The lesser disciple of Tsongkhapa, the youngest disciple, which took refuge in less than 5 years. And the true cultivator was Panchen Lama. Dalai Lama, Panchen Lama, and Kanten Tripath. And then the Tsongkhapa Hutu Ketu Rinpoche from Mongolia. In Chinese, it can be played as being befuddled. So this was about the past of Tsongkhapa. So he had to have the great cultivators to continue the lineage. And True Buddha School has over 50, close to 60 temples around the world, and over 100 Dharma masters, and close to 1,000 monks and nuns and Dharma educators, and they will bear the lineage of True Buddha School, who continue to propagate Buddha Dharma all their lives. When Tsongkhapa was alive, he built the Gandun temple, monastery, and then Drepung monastery, and then later Sera monastery, which are the three great monasteries of Gelugpa in Tibet. And also in Tibet, in Qinghai and Lapuling, and also the Drepung Lapuling monastery. They constitute the 6 temples of Gelugpa. He studied Tantric Dharma. When I met Dalai Lama, when I had the meeting with Dalai Lama, the Dalai Lama asked me, how would you explain form and emptiness, or substance and emptiness? And I replied, the dual execution. But with these words, don't get distracted that you think it's the dual execution between a man and a woman. Then it's just rubbish in your brain, but that's not what it is. So form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Actually, it's the dual execution of form and emptiness, of substance or existence and emptiness. There was a time where everybody put importance on existentialism, that everything is existent. And then some people who think that everything is emptiness. And Manjushri Bodhisattva told Tsongkhapa, you need to respect the worldly Dharma, because without the worldly Dharma, there would not be the enlightened Dharma, or out of worldly Dharma. In your Buddhist studies, you start with the worldly Dharma, and then eventually you would reach the ultimate meaning of the out of worldly Dharma, or enlightenment Dharma. So that's the dual execution of existence and emptiness. So I told Dalai Lama, dual execution. And I don't know what's inside Dalai Lama's brain. He said, naturally. Lama said, you said dual execution, and he said naturally. But he did not know that his guru, his first guru, Guru Tsongkhapa, who transmitted the dual execution of existence and emptiness. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness is no other than form, as written in the sutra, as Sakyamuni Buddha knew, that you need to put importance on both existence and emptiness. Without existence, there is no emptiness. So in this, there is the Trantika Madhyamaka, because the self-nature too is empty. There's the Sautantrika view of Madhyamaka. And ultimately, Tsongkhapa understood the dual execution of existence and emptiness. So finally, the dual execution of the nihilism and the substantialism, he established, or it became the Prasangika Madhyamaka. So Tsongkhapa put great importance on the Prasangika Madhyamaka, because he also found that the mundane ground is also important, because without it you will not reach the empty nature. So both from the So Tsongkhapa told me it has to be dual execution of existence and emptiness, and then also dual execution of bliss and emptiness. And bliss is just a skillful means, a method, and emptiness is the ultimate meaning. So the most important thing about Tsongkhapa, when he entered into Samadhi, he could do the dual execution of existence and emptiness. And Tsongkhapa also taught me one thing. What is the stop? There are two ways to practice spiritual cultivation. One is to stop your thoughts. Like if you practice stopping your thoughts, then you will enter into nihilism. And then the other way is through visualization. So before you have the attainments of stopping your thoughts, you have to do the visualization. So that's why it's the dual execution of stopping and visualizing. So to learn to enter into Samadhi, in our spiritual cultivation, there are two methods. One is to stop your thoughts, and second is through visualization. When you cannot stop your thoughts, then you visualize. When you reach the extreme through visualization, then you stop your thought. That's the dual execution of stopping and visualizing. And this is the best way to enter into Samadhi. And you cannot just practice stopping your thoughts, because it's impossible to stop them. Because the thought of wanting to stop your thoughts is still a thought. So that's why you have to be in full concentration and visualize until all thoughts stop. then there would be the dual execution of stopping and visualizing until you have attainments. So that's what Tsongkhapa instructed based on the instruction of Manjushri Bodhisattva. And this is the correct view of the middle way, or Madhyamaka. Now do you understand? So what is the Sautantrika Madhyamaka and Prasangika Madhyamaka? So the Prasangika Madhyamika is the dual execution of stopping and visualizing, and the Sautantrika Madhyamaka is just to stop the thought. So Grandmaster's teaching sometimes is quite different. Sometimes it's very difficult to understand Grandmaster, because sometimes Grandmaster says this, sometimes Grandmaster says that. There's a dad and sent a guest to the door and said, please literally walk slowly. And the 5-year-old son asked, why do you send off the uncle at the door and said, okay, please walk slowly. But mom, when she sent him off, always say, come on, go quickly. So one said, walk slowly, which means like have a good trip. And the other one said, go quickly. A wife asked the husband, why do you like an ugly? But a figure is long, tall, high, tall and slender. If you like a tall and slender woman, why do you marry? Why did you marry? And the husband replied, I thought you'll grow taller. But in our Buddhist studies, we need to grow taller and taller. You don't want to stop in the blissful sensation or in clear light or even in emptiness. So I've said you have to perform the dual execution. Only then it would be accurate. It would be proper. There are 3 kids comparing each other whose dad is fastest. The first one said, my dad's fastest. Before coffee drops to the ground, he could use the cup to catch the coffee before the coffee gets to the ground. That must be really fast. And the second kid said, my dad's even faster. When he went hunting, and in 200 yards, he would hit the deer, and before the deer fall to the ground, he would run and hold the deer before it drops to the ground. 200 yards. When I was young, I ran 100 yards in 11 point something seconds, almost 12 seconds. And he would hold the deer before it fell to the ground. That's fast. And the third kid said, my dad is a public officer and get off work at 5:30, but at 4:30 he's got home already. So you can't be lazy in your Buddhist studies. If you're lazy or indolent in your spiritual cultivation, it's impossible for you to attain Buddhahood. Doesn't matter whether you're a rabbit or a turtle, whether you have a sharp spiritual root, very bright, or whether you're dull and dumb, as long as you walk step by step, eventually you would attain Buddhahood. So please don't be lazy. Don't procrastinate. The teacher said, on the internet you would not say, this is penned by, and the interviewer asked, then what would you say? Because now we use the keyboards, but the keyboards in Chinese sounds like the lowly person. But now we have smartphones which use touch and no keyboards. Then how would you call yourself? Then it's a homophone Chinese. It sounds like animals. So the toucher. So what the Guru instructed may not be accurate, but you can follow the compendium and treatises. But each of Tibetan Lama would have read the 5 treatises, the Ornament of Clear Realization, and the Madhyamaka, the Pramana Vartika, Vinaya, and the Madhyamaka Vartara, and also Abhidhamma Kosa. So the 5 treatises. Please raise your hand if you have read all of them. Or just any one of them, just any one of the treatises. I'm not asking the masters. Even the masters may not have read them. The Ornament of Clear Realization, the Madhyamaka Vatara, the Pramana Samukaya, Vinaya, Abhidhamma. So the Vinaya, like what I said, like the 3 major Vinayas or precepts are ordination precepts, Bodhisattva precepts, and ordination and renunciation. So you need to be diligent. You cannot just play your phones all the time, because that would create a problem. Maybe you would fall into the ditch and you don't even look at the traffic lights. So the 3 virtues, or the 4 virtues of the woman. This is a play of words of Chinese. This is based on Confucius, the ancient time and the modern time. Nowadays, you're really unlucky if you get married. But Simo has helped me a lot. She's helped me a lot, and all my daily necessities were provided by her, and also the school affairs, and her understanding is very strong. So she's very sincere in her speech. If any difficulties in her hands would be resolved. And she speaks very sincerely. I am a little bit more extreme. And Master Lian Ji, the sound of the name Ji, which Ji is it? It's extreme. But his extreme is number 2, and I'm first. I was talking of that human life is about the same. At 1, you were born in merriment. At 10, you're into studies. At 20, you're at the height of your youth. At 30s, you're into your career. At 40s, you start to gain weight. At 50s, you're at your prime. At 60s, your blood pressure starts to rise. At 70s, you become forgetful. At 80s, you walk wobbly, and at 90s, you forget everything. At 100, you hang on the wall. That's human life. And here's one. A human life with wind. Yeah, it's the same meaning. It's similar meanings as earlier. So human life is like that. What meaning is there? You know, let me tell you. Improve your spirits, your spiritual life, and purity in cultivation, and radiance and Buddhahood. That's the most meaningful part of human life. A woman that's man is crane, not crane, swan. Without diamond, but I have a heart of love. Would you marry me? But without face, figure, no money, cannot give birth, and then black moles on the face, but with a heart of love. Would you want to marry? Not just woman is realistic, but men too. The capitals of breeding ducks and swans are different. So things in this life are unfair. The only thing that is fair is the Buddha nature. The only thing that's equal is the Buddha nature. That's all for today. Om Mani Padme Hum.